Well, Nickeil, after dusting it all off and getting back to work, I mean, what's the vibe like with this team right now and the confidence level going into game two?
I think everyone feels confident. I know that after game one and the way that we lost, I think everyone is coming in with a sense of urgency and presence to play more aggressive, to be more disciplined in our principles, and those are areas where we look back at the game that we could have improved in. And I think that from yesterday's practice and the focus, film sessions this morning, everyone's approach, I feel confident.
How do you keep the pressure from being too much? I mean, you got to win 4 games to get through this series, but 0-2 is a difficult game.
I mean, for sure, but that's what home court advantage is, and we're fortunate to have an opportunity to try to get game 2, and then we're going home. I believe in our ability at home this postseason, and I know the crowd's going to be ready, waiting for us. So it's just about one game at a time. Crazier things have happened. We've seen 3-1 leads being blown, and hopefully we don't have to get to 3-1 or any of that situation, but it's just one game at a time and controlling what you can. Whatever happens, happens, but I believe in the ability of this team, and whether that's 0-2, whether that's 0-1, 1-1, whatever the case may be, you need 4. And so nothing's over until you lose 4.
What principles were found wanting, you think, in game one?
Sorry?
What principles weren't really fulfilled in game one? You talked about we need to get back to our principles.
Yeah. I would say just being on time with our rotations. When you look back at the game, they were very sharp in their rotations, and we weren't. I don't know if that was the rust or whatever the case may be, but just the small things like that, just the details of the game, was why the game kind of blew out of proportion. You look at the first half, we were better in our details. We turned it over a little bit. I was able to keep them in it, but when we play our brand of basketball to our best potential, and even sometimes it's not going to be perfect, but when the discipline is there to those details, then you have different outcomes than we did in game one.
Nickeil, how much do you think the missed threes in game one were as a whole team, you as the whole group, were open shots not going in versus the way that they're closing out, maybe rushing into the playoffs?
I guess you just can't use it as an excuse. We've closed out a game 7-47 to close the series, and we've shot poorly in Golden State series. So I guess at this point in time, we just got to throw that out the window. And yeah, you miss shots, but I don't say you should expect to miss shots, but it's the playoffs, and so it's not going to be as easy. So if you're missing shots, you got to find other ways to win, especially because teams are going to be aggressive on closeouts and multiple efforts and flying around, especially a young team that is built on multiple efforts flying around, glue guys that want to do their job, just great guys. So I think for us, it's about not even looking into the game to rely on those things. I think in game one, maybe we relied on our talent because we have depth, but understanding that if we play hard with our talent, that'll get us to where we need to be.
You look at other ways to win, like you're saying, what stands out in the forefront of your mind and the other ways to win?
50-50 balls, offensive rebounding, keeping them off the glass, being on time in rotations, communicating, not wavering through the ebbs and flows of the game, staying together, small things like that. It's going to be found in the details, how we respond to makes and misses, getting to the next play quicker than they do, short-term memory, so forth.
Nickeil, you set a flare screen for Dante in the corner, and he hit a corner three. I don't know if you remember that play exactly. I'm wondering, is that just a freelance thing where you just feel that and see that and set that?
We talk about it, but it started off as more freelance, and then it came into things that we can look for with the way they play their defense. And going forward, we know now, and watching it back, those were small things that worked. And that can maybe give Ant more space, Julius more space, because they're really looking to pack the paint. With an undersized team, that's what they're going to put an emphasis on. We're smaller, so let's make sure everyone's in the paint to make it crowded. And kickout's going to be open. I don't foresee me, Nas, and Dante shooting as poorly as we did. But like I said, I'm not relying on that. And just doing the small things like setting screens to get guys open, keeping them in rotation, making them fly around, so that might open up offensive rebounding and stuff.
What struck you from Shai's comments last night after getting the MVP?
Any in particular?
Yeah, is there anything like stood out to you about like, oh, wow, you know, that impressed me, or that is something that made an impact on me the way he accepted you?
I would just say the only thing that people don't see around him, and if you talk to anybody, he's very goofy, and he has a big personality that's hidden almost because he's very stoic on the court, but he's a goofy guy, loves to have fun, make jokes, and he enjoys what he does. Seeing him get emotional, you can really see that that's not something he does often, and he's not one to cry, and so just seeing that was like, you know, he really felt that. And hearing him talk about his wife Haley, me being there in high school when they first started dating, and kind of seeing their journey from like afar, you can tell like that was very personal to him, and everything he said he meant.
You guys went up 8-0 in game 1 and had to leave the half. Do you feel like him getting the award for other fans could bring another level of intensity from not only the crowd but their teams to start things off?
Sure. You know, you start a game 8-0. I don't think that means much. You know, and I think it's just about, sometimes in basketball you look at the result so much, and at the end of the day, like, the process in which you go about those things, it will catch up to you. And if we had made, I didn't see it, I usually go to the bathroom, so if we had made 3 bull shots and they missed 3 great shots, but we're up 8-0, you know, that doesn't mean nothing. It's about what's sustainable, especially in a series like this with 2 good teams who have what it takes and are, in my eyes, both deserving of getting to the finals. But it's about who wants it more and who's going to be willing to do those little things that I talked about earlier. And to your point about going up in half, I think we had a chance at a larger lead. It's how we start the quarters and how we end the quarters, especially with a team like this, from just watching them throughout the season. They're able to stay in games because leads at very crucial times get cut into. Momentum swings are what they feed off of, especially at home with their crowd, and their crowd does a good job of, you know, being behind them and supporting them. And so it's just about taking life when we need to, you know, being solid and disciplined and not allowing them those areas to kind of slither their way in.